Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at Specialist Ratchet from the Transformers Dark of the Moon series line. Now, he was originally part of a 2-pack with the Cyberfire Bumblebee, which is why the packaging looks all messed up. And I have to say it's a pretty decent deal considering it was a character I kind of wanted to pick up anyway. A little bit of a read-up on the back. Actually see that. No. There we go. And hold on a second, and I'll get him out of pack. I'm going to start by saying that Specialist Ratchet comes with this little mech tech accessory because I actually shot the entire review and then realized I had this thing sitting over by the side. It should clip into his hand, and then when this thing's pushed back, it goes from this weird flamethrower gun thingy, I don't know what the hell it's supposed to be, into a weird double gun, maybe those are missiles, I don't know thing. I really don't like these mech techs. So goofy, and you can't keep them in the alternate version. Meh. Alright, so I have some fairly mixed feelings about Specialist Ratchet here. On one hand, the vehicle mode does look pretty neat. There's a lot going on. I love the huge Autobot logos on either side, or shields if you will. On the other hand, the robot mode looks kind of cheap and crappy, mostly because they used a sort of really flat red for it. But the transformation sequence is actually pretty cool. I did enjoy that quite a bit, and I will be transforming him at the end of the video, but again, here is a look at the vehicle mode. It's got a lot of really neat design elements going on. And one of the odd things, which I haven't really seen before, or at least I don't recall seeing, is like when you're messing around with the wheels. Makes this really neat revving sound. That's fun. I mean, come on. It doesn't do it with the other wheels, though. This one's just sort of normal noise. I guess it's just like how tight the joint is, so. But I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, hold on a second and I'll show you the robot mode. And here we have Specialist Ratchet's less than spectacular robot mode. You know, actually, I do think that it looks pretty cool, like from the waist up. It's just all the stuff underneath, which is kind of crappy. In particular, I absolutely hate these knee caps or whatever. I don't know if you'd call them pads or eh. But I mean, he's kind of got a double jointed knee thing going on here, but because of this, he can't really move his leg all that much forward, which leads to some balance issues, and if you didn't transform him quite right, his ankles flip around and then do this thing right here. Like if you only went like halfway through then flipped them, he just won't stand at all. Or he'll have some pretty significant challenges. It actually has to be pushed forward a little bit extra. Though I guess, you know, if you can't adjust him the other way, you could try going back a little bit. Either way, it just makes posing kind of awkward because you always have to have him sort of hunched forward to really get the balance going. Or, I guess, sort of standing a little bit tall or whatever. I don't know, I just really can't get a decent pose that I like going on, mostly because of that. The other major issue, as mentioned, is just this really cheap red plastic that's used for it. I don't know. Just makes the whole figure look a little crappier. I mean, had they given like a more reflective surface or something, or used a deeper shade, or just done something, it would have looked a lot nicer. The other issue, at least of mine, is the fact that he has some paint scrapes on his face there. And that's the big issue when, your Transformer starts off in vehicle mode and pack, you can't see whether or not the robot mode has any defects to it, and especially in this case where the head's physically located underneath the car, so that does kind of suck. Face sculpt, though, is kind of neat from what I can see of it. It's got a bit more character to it than a lot of the Bayformers do. Although I guess that might just be due to the mix of colors rather than the actual sculpting. Again, the whole balance is kind of off. He's got a pretty significant backpack here. I'm not sure if that's really part of the reason why the balance is kind of lackluster, but it's kind of an eyesore. Otherwise, again, upper body here, really neat looking. Again, you can see the Autobot logos pretty well on the forearm shields. Gauntlets, I suppose you could call them. Not a lot of complaints there. He has a surprising amount of articulation, just mostly owing to the transformation. That includes a small amount of movement here on the wrists. And I mean a really small amount, it just goes in that much. I should go a little bit further. Then the arm can twist this way. It's actually jointed to twist backwards as well, but you'd have to move this whole thing out to get it to work. It's actually part of the transformation as well, I think. Then, of course, he's got the other joint up here, so in some ways, I don't know, it's kind of like a weird sort of double jointed arm. Yeah. But that point up there at the bicep can also rotate. In addition to being able to rotate the bicep, he can also move here at the upper bicep, or shoulder. And the shoulder can sort of span in and out, then it's got upward, up-down motion, so it's a crazy articulated arm. Although when you have the piece out like here, it does impede a little bit of it. Head rotates only, no waist motion, physical ball at the hip, just usual range here. Get a little inward-outward motion going on because they've got a cut here at the upper thigh, or maybe it's the lower, it's hard to tell. So you can kind of work that a little bit. Double jointed knee, ankle rotates, has up-down, and can move backwards. All in all, it's kind of weird that there's just this huge chunk of space missing here. I don't know, I'm not sure what's the deal with that. I mean, clearly he looks like he's transformed right, but so I guess they just designed him with a hollow space there. Eh. Otherwise, really sort of cool looking character. I mean, yeah, he's gonna look a little bit suckier just because you might not be able to get him posed as you might like. And, I'm just in general not a fan of the feet and knees here. In fact, sometimes I just flip it around to the backs of the feet because I think those look cooler. Partly because, it's got a different color going on. They do kind of look like feet because you've got like the little toe things there. Yeah. So yeah, that is Specialist Ratchet. Now to jump to the transformation sequence, starting with the vehicle mode. Now to transform him from vehicle to robot, and again this really isn't the standard way. The standard way wants you to like pop this out first and then this part. But I'm going a little bit different. Well, I'm starting the same. You basically apply pressure from the inside to pop out the front section there, which reveals the arms, and just kind of need to slide that out. Unfortunately, it sort of pegs in there. It's a tough thing to get it out of. So you see the little peg thing here? It's the front grille. It's kind of funky, but make sure that the arms are pretty far out. Do the same for the other side. And then just twist the hood down a little bit. Now this part right here, in between, flips over, revealing Ratchet's head. Then you just flip the arms around. So you're on this little joint here. When you're actually transferring back to vehicle, you have to flip them back, and yeah, it's kind of annoying. And you move this part in, this part in as well. You have the front of the body done. By the way, again, the top portion I think looks really neat. It's mostly the bottom portion that kind of sucks. Just pop the part back here. This part here folds sort of up and over. You can just fold the legs down at this point. Fold this under there. These side panels just clip to the sides. And then flip the feet around. And this snaps into here, and we have his robot mode. Again, does not stand very well. Getting Ratchet back into his vehicle mode is a little bit more aggravating, just because some of the pieces just don't seem to snap in place all the time, and then especially with the front part with the arms. But you basically start by pulling this stuff out here, just to get that out of the way. Then you can, I guess I'll start by doing the back portion first, so you don't really need to do anything with the front just yet. Flip the feet around. They'll kind of fold in with some amount of effort. Then goes into there. You'll notice that there's a little peg hole here. Pegs into that. Even when it's pegged into that, you might not actually have it correctly done, because the back portion's got to go, and it doesn't always quite fit for some reason. It's weird. But you just repeat the process on the other side. Should clip in right now. Then finally this sort of folds down. And here's where we have the problem. Basically, these things have to sort of stay pegged in, but while they're pegged in, they still aren't even at times. And there we go, kind of. I guess it's just because of the different segments to the leg. Now you flip the part forward here, pull out the, I guess, sides of the doors. The whole thing flips over. Again, this is probably my favorite part of it. And then the arms fold back and over. Sort of get that placed. It needs to slide underneath the front grille. Then peg into that. I almost always get one side to go right, and then the other side goes completely wrong, but once again, flips over to that. Yep. Perfect example. For some reason it just doesn't seem to line up sometimes, but you know, just fiddle around with it. Again, that goes underneath there. pegs in. And finally the side things snap in. And there is Specialist Ratchet in his pretty neat vehicle mode. Not a terrible transformation. It's definitely a lot easier going from car to robot than robot to car. It's a lot more fun doing the car to robot. So, it's less precise, you have more room to maneuver. Well, that's true of a great many of them. But yeah, this has been a look at Specialist Ratchet from the Dark of the Moon line. Till next time, folks.